Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to have an honest conversation about protecting our peace, our power, and our purpose. There are things in life we must keep close to our hearts, things that should never be handed over to others, not because we don't trust them, but because these are the sacred pieces of us that fuel our journey. And sometimes keeping those things to ourselves is the best act of self-love we can practice. So let's dive into the 5 things you should never share with anyone. When we talk about dreams, those quiet, burning desires deep inside of you, we're talking about something precious, something so personal and fragile that it almost feels too delicate to share with the world before it's ready. And that's the point, isn't it? Dreams are like seeds planted in the soil of your spirit. When they first take root, they're vulnerable, they're tender, they're not yet strong enough to face the elements. And that's why you've got to protect them. You have to nurture them in silence before you let the world have a glimpse. We live in a time where everything is broadcast. Every step, every thought, every ambition is shouted from the rooftops, shared on social media, laid bare for all to see. And while that kind of transparency can have its place, when it comes to your deepest dreams, there's a different kind of wisdom needed. You see, not everyone will understand your vision. Not everyone will see the potential inside the seed you're planting. Some people, intentionally or not, will pour their own fears and limitations over your dreams. They'll project their doubts, their insecurities, their own sense of what's possible onto what you know in your heart is meant for you. And if you're not careful, if your dream isn't strong enough yet, those doubts can seep in and stunt its growth. Think about it like this: when a farmer plants a seed, they don't go back every day digging it up to show everyone how it's doing. No, they let it sit in the soil, hidden from the world, so it can grow roots. They water it, they tend to it, they protect it. They know that the real growth happens in the dark beneath the surface. It's the same with your dreams. Before you can share them, before they can be exposed to the opinions and judgments of others, they need time to grow in the safety of your own heart and mind. And here's the truth: sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is share your dream with someone who doesn't believe in it. Not because they're malicious, but because they can't see what you see. They haven't walked your path, they don't feel what you feel. They don't have that inner fire that's telling you to keep going, no matter how crazy it might seem. When you share your dream too early, it's like opening the door too soon, letting in a draft before the fire is fully lit. And that fire can flicker, it can waver if it's not yet strong enough to withstand the winds of skepticism or negativity. This is why you've got to be intentional about who you let into the inner sanctum of your dreams. Not everyone is equipped to handle your vision, and that's okay. You're not asking for permission. You don't need validation. What you need is time. Time to nurture that dream, to let it grow, to feed it with your passion and your belief. You need to let it become strong enough to stand on its own. So when you do share it, when you let the world see what you've been working on, it's already flourishing. It's already something real, something undeniable. There's a power in keeping your dream to yourself until it's ready. There's strength in silence, in working quietly behind the scenes while the rest of the world is watching something else. Because here's the thing: when your dream is finally ready to come to life, when you've done the work, when you've put in the time, when you've put in the type, when you've protected it from the elements, it won't need to be announced. It will speak for itself. Your dream will be undeniable because it's rooted in the truth of who you are and what you're here to do. So don't be in a rush to share everything before it's time. Trust the process. Trust that your dream is growing even when no one else can see it. Hold it close, nurture it in the quiet spaces of your heart, and when the time comes, let it bloom in its full glory. Because when your dream is ready, nothing and no one will be able to stop it. Now let's talk about your weaknesses. We all have them. There isn't a single person walking this earth who doesn't carry moments of doubt, insecurities, or parts of themselves that feel fragile. And that's okay, it's part of being human. But here's what's important to understand. While it's essential to acknowledge and work on our weaknesses, it's equally essential to be mindful of who we share them with. Vulnerability is a powerful thing, but it's also a sacred thing. When you open up about your struggles, your fears, or those moments when you feel less than, you are offering a piece of yourself. And not everyone has the heart, the intention, or the capacity to hold that part of you with care. When you share your weaknesses with everyone, you open yourself up to all kinds of reactions, some supportive, some indifferent, and some that can be harmful. Because the truth is, not everyone deserves to see that side of you. Not everyone knows how to handle your vulnerability with the respect and empathy it deserves. There are people in our lives who, when we show them our scars, will respond with compassion. They'll lift us up, hold space for us, and remind us of our strength, even in our weakest moments. These are the people who deserve to see behind the curtain because they understand the beauty in our imperfections. They know that our weaknesses don't define us, they're simply part of our journey. But let's be real for a moment. Not everyone will respond that way. There are people who might take your vulnerability and use it against you, whether intentionally or not. They may not be equipped to handle your pain. They might project their own fears, their own insecurities onto you, and instead of helping you heal, they make the weight you're carrying even heavier. They might not understand that your moment of weakness doesn't define your worth. And that's where you have to be careful. You see, when you share your weaknesses with the wrong people, you risk allowing their perception of your struggle to shape how you see yourself. You risk internalizing their judgments, their doubts, their opinions. And that can be dangerous because in those moments when we're feeling vulnerable, we're already in a delicate place. We're already questioning ourselves. We don't need someone else to magnify those doubts. We need people who will remind us of the bigger picture, who will help us rise above the moment and see the strength we possess, even when we can't see it ourselves. It's about discernment. It's about knowing that not every ear that listens will hear you with love. Not every person who asks, "How are you?" genuinely wants to know. Some are curious, some are nosy, and some just don't know what to do with the truth when it's handed to them. And if you're not mindful of that, you can end up feeling more isolated and misunderstood than you did before. This isn't about shutting people out or building walls around your heart. It's about being selective. It's about honoring yourself enough to choose who gets to see the most vulnerable parts of you. Because your weaknesses, your struggles, they are a part of your growth, and not everyone is going to have the ability or the grace to walk alongside you on that path. It's also about protecting your healing. When you're working through something, whether it's an insecurity, a mistake, or a challenge you're facing, you need time and space to process. You need to be able to sit with it, learn from it, and grow from it without the noise of other people's opinions clouding your mind. When you share your weaknesses too freely, you invite opinions, and those opinions can sometimes distract you from the work you need to do within yourself. You start worrying about how other people see you instead of focusing on how you see yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you should carry your burdens alone. No, we all need support. We all need a trusted circle, a safe space where we can be our true selves in all our strength and all our vulnerability. But that circle should be small, filled with people who have earned the right to hear your story. People who will hold your hand, not pull you down. People who will remind you of your resilience, not reinforce your doubts. Because here's the thing, your weaknesses are not your shame. They're not something to hide or to run from. They are part of what makes you whole. But just like anything precious, they need to be handled with care. And only the people who see the value in your journey, who understand the strength in your struggle, should be allowed to walk with you through those moments. So be discerning. Be intentional about who you open up to. Protect your heart, protect your healing, and know that not everyone is meant to carry the weight of your story. Share your truth with those who will honor it. And remember that even in your moments of weakness, you are still worthy, still whole, and still on the path to becoming the fullest version of yourself. When it comes to money, let's be honest, there's so much more to it than just dollars and cents. Your financial life, the decisions you make with your money, how much you have, how much you owe, what you spend, it's all deeply personal. And yet, so many of us feel pressured to share those intimate details with others. But here's the truth: your financial life is your own business, and it's something you should guard carefully. You see, money is more than just a tool for survival. It's intertwined with your sense of security, your sense of independence, and your sense of freedom. It's a reflection of the life you're building for yourself, and it can reveal so much about where you are on your journey. But not everyone needs to know the ins and outs of that journey, because when you start opening up about your financial situation to the wrong people, you're opening the door to judgment, comparison, and sometimes even manipulation. Think about it, money is one of those topics that has the power to change relationships. When people know too much about your finances, it can shift the way they see you, the way they treat you, and even the way they value you. Whether you're doing well financially or struggling to make ends meet, sharing those details can create a dynamic you didn't intend. People may start to assume things about your lifestyle, your choices, or your priorities based on numbers they have no real context for. And before you know it, you're being defined by something that's just one small part of who you are. Let's start with those moments when you're doing well, when you've worked hard, made smart decisions, and reached a place of financial stability or success. Now, while you should absolutely celebrate that, it's important to recognize that not everyone will share in your joy. Some people will be supportive, but others might feel envious or judgmental. They might start to make assumptions about how easy it must have been for you, or worse, they may start to expect things from you: financial favors, loans, or even lifestyle changes to match your perceived status. Suddenly, you're not just navigating your own financial goals, but you're also managing the expectations and emotions of others, and that's a burden you don't need to carry. On the other hand, let's talk about those moments when you're struggling, when the weight of financial stress feels overwhelming, and it seems like no matter how hard you try, you're just not getting ahead. In those moments, it can be tempting to share your challenges with others, to seek comfort in knowing that someone else understands. But here's where you need to be careful. Not everyone will hold your struggle with the compassion and discretion you deserve. Sharing your financial hardships can invite pity, judgment, or unsolicited advice from people who may not fully understand your situation. And even though their intentions might be good, their responses can sometimes leave you feeling worse than before. Your financial journey is unique. Only you know the full picture of the sacrifices you've made, the obstacles you've overcome, the plans you have for your future. And unless someone is deeply invested in your well-being and understands the nuances of your situation, they may not be in the best position to offer the kind of support you truly need. That's why it's so important to keep your financial details private, unless you're sharing them with someone you absolutely trust, someone who has earned the right to know because they've shown you they can handle that information with care and respect. Beyond personal relationships, let's also consider the broader impact of sharing your financial life too freely. We live in a world that often equates money with worth, and that can lead to all kinds of unhealthy dynamics. If you start to measure your own success or failure based on how your finances compare to others, you're stepping into a trap. Money is not the ultimate measure of your value as a person. It's simply a tool, a resource that helps you live the life you want. But when you share your financial details with others, especially in a culture that's so obsessed with material wealth, you open yourself up to being measured by a standard that's not reflective of your true worth. And here's something else: money is deeply tied to our sense of self-esteem. For many people, talking about money can stir up feelings of shame, inadequacy, or guilt, especially if they feel like they don't have enough or are not where they thought they would be financially. By keeping your financial details private, you protect yourself from those feelings that may arise from outside opinions. You give yourself the space to work through your financial journey in a way that's aligned with your values, your goals, and your timeline, not anyone else's. Remember, financial growth, like any kind of growth, takes time. It requires patience, strategy, and sometimes making mistakes along the way. But that journey is yours to take, and it doesn't have to be validated or scrutinized by anyone else. What matters is that you're moving forward, learning from your experiences, and making choices that align with the life you want to create. So protect your financial life. Share it only with those who are deeply invested in your growth and well-being. And remember, your money does not define you. It's just one part of the beautiful, complex story of your life. The real wealth is in how you live, how you love. It is meant for public consumption. Some of the most beautiful and intimate moments are the ones that should be kept private, cherished between you and the people involved. In this world of oversharing, where everyone seems eager to put their personal lives on display, it can feel natural to want to talk about the details of our relationships. We share our highs and lows, our disagreements, and our celebrations almost as though we need the world's validation to know that what we have is real. But here's the truth: when you expose the inner workings of your relationships, you're not just inviting others into the beauty of these onto what's happening in your life. They might mean well, but their advice, their reactions can sometimes create doubt where there was none, or make you second guess what you already know in your heart to be true. And think about this: relationships are complex. No one outside of them fully understands the dynamic between you and the other person. They don't see the whole picture. They don't feel the subtle rhythms that make your connection work, the unspoken understanding that exists between you. When you share too much with people who aren't part of that relationship, they can't help but look at it from their limited point of view. They might offer advice or judgments based on their own experiences, which may not apply to what you're going through at all. There's also something sacred about keeping certain parts of your life private. When you and your partner or your close friend or family member experience something special together, that moment is yours. It's something that strengthens the bond between you because it's shared only by the people who lived it. The intimacy of knowing that some moments belong only to you and the people you trust is what makes relationships feel safe and enduring. But when we start letting other people into those sacred spaces, whether it's through social media posts, casual conversations, or venting to a friend, it can chip away at that intimacy. Suddenly, the relationship isn't just between the two or few of you anymore. It becomes something other people have opinions about. Something that's discussed, dissected, and perhaps even criticized. And that changes things. It puts pressure on the relationship in ways that you may not have anticipated. Let's talk about disagreements. Every relationship has its ups and downs. That's just part of being close to someone. You're going to have conflicts, moments when you don't see eye to eye. But those moments are also opportunities for growth, for deeper understanding, for finding your way back to each other in a stronger, more authentic way. When you share those conflicts with others, especially when you're still in the heat of the moment, it can complicate the healing process. The opinions of others can cloud your judgment or influence how you resolve things. You might find that after you've moved on from an argument, the person you confided in hasn't. They might still hold on to the negativity or the frustration you shared, even after you and your partner or friend have worked through it. And suddenly there's this third party holding on to old energy that no longer serves the relationship. That can create distance or tension where there should be healing and closeness. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to anyone about what's happening in your relationships. Of course, there are moments when it's important to seek advice, to get perspective, to lean on someone you trust. But that person should be someone who has proven that they're invested in your well-being, someone who understands that they're there to support, not to judge or interfere. And even then, you should be mindful of how much you share. Some things are just between you and the other person involved, and that's perfectly okay. Keeping your private relationships private doesn't mean you're being secretive or hiding something. It means you're protecting something precious. It means you understand the value of intimacy, of knowing that some parts of your life don't need to be explained, defended, or justified to anyone else. It's about honoring the connection you have with someone and recognizing that not everything is meant to be put on display. The most meaningful relationships thrive in spaces where trust and respect are nurtured. They grow in environments free from external noise, where the people involved can be their true selves without worrying about outside opinions. When you protect your private relationships, you give them the chance to deepen, to evolve in ways that feel authentic to both of you without the pressure of performing for others. So let your relationships breathe in their own space. Protect the bond you've created. Share your love, your struggles, your joys with the people who are directly involved. And remember that the most profound moments often happen in the quiet spaces of your life, the moments that don't need an audience to be real, true, and deeply meaningful. Keep those moments close to your heart and let them strengthen the relationships that matter most. Let's talk about your next move, the next big step you're about to take. Whether it's a career decision, a new relationship, a creative project, or a personal transformation, the truth is your next move is powerful. It's filled with potential, possibility, and purpose. But here's the thing, not everyone needs to know about it before you take it. Not everyone should have access to the inner workings of your plans before they've had the chance to fully unfold. When you're on the verge of something new, something exciting, or even life-changing, there's a natural urge to share it with the world. You want to tell people what you're up to, show them that you're making moves, and get that validation. But here's the wisdom you need to hold on to: your next move is your business. And sometimes silence is your greatest ally. Why? Because not every plan, not every dream, not every idea is ready to face the opinions, doubts, and projections of others. When you share your next move too early, before it's solid, before it's had time to fully take root in your heart and mind, you open yourself up to outside influences that can sway you from your path. You invite opinions that may not align with your vision, and you risk letting someone else's fear or doubt creep into your process. You have to understand that your next move is sacred. It's a reflection of the growth you've experienced, the lessons you've learned, and the person you're becoming. It's the result of your hard work, your vision, and the whispers of intuition that have guided you to this point. But before it becomes a reality, it's still in a vulnerable state. Like a delicate seedling, it needs time to grow in the safety of your own mind and spirit, without the harsh winds of outside judgment blowing it off course. When you share your plans too soon, you give people access to something they might not fully understand. They might not see the depth of your vision. They might not grasp the significance of the steps you're about to take. And without that understanding, they might unknowingly offer advice or criticism that doesn't serve you. Even the people who love you the most can project their fears onto your dreams. They might mean well, but their concerns can plant seeds of doubt in your mind, seeds that weren't there before. Here's what you have to remember: not everyone can see your vision. Not everyone is meant to walk this journey with you. Some people are still carrying their own limitations, their own insecurities, and if you're not careful, they'll hand those over to you. Suddenly, what felt like a clear, confident path can start to feel uncertain, all because someone else couldn't see what you see. Your next move isn't about them. It's about you. It's about what feels right in your soul, what aligns with your purpose, and what pushes you toward the future you've imagined for yourself. That's why you need to protect it. You need to nurture it in the quiet of your own heart. Give it the time and space to grow strong. So when you're ready to share it with the world, it's already undeniable. It's already something you've fully committed to, something no one can shake or diminish with their opinions. There's power in moving in silence. There's power in making decisions behind the scenes without needing to broadcast every step you're about to take. Not only does it protect you from the weight of outside expectations, but it also allows you to focus on what truly matters: the work. When you're not distracted by what others think or how they might react, you're able to pour your energy fully into your plan, into taking the actions necessary to bring your vision to life. And here's another truth: when you share your next move too soon, you can sometimes lose momentum. There's a kind of magic in keeping something for yourself and letting it simmer and build in the background while the world goes on around you. The moment you start talking about it too much, that energy can dissipate. It's like letting steam out of a pressure cooker. Before it's done, you lose the intensity, the focus that's driving you forward. You give away some of that creative energy to the act of sharing instead of pouring it into the action of doing. When the time is right, your next move will speak for itself. You won't have to explain it, defend it, or justify it. People will see the results of your work, and the success you've created will be enough. It will stand on its own because by then you'll have put in the time, the effort, and the quiet dedication to make it happen. And when you reveal it to the world, it will already be a done deal. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you didn't need anyone's approval or validation to move forward. You trusted yourself, and that trust paid off. So as you stand on the brink of your next big move, hold it close, keep it sacred. Trust that the universe is guiding you, that your intuition is leading you exactly where you need to go. Protect that vision, let it grow in silence, and when it's time, reveal it with the full force of your power behind it. By then, you won't need anyone else's permission to take that leap. You'll already be flying. So I want to remind you there's nothing wrong with holding certain things close to your chest. It's not about distrust, it's about knowing the value of the most intimate parts of your life. When we protect our peace, we become unstoppable. When we protect our power, we become a force. And when we protect our purpose, we become everything we were meant to be. Hold on to what matters. Keep it safe. Keep it sacred.